But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter? X. Dating the show terribly. Also, I'm going to do another separate shout out, which I don't normally do on live shows, to all of you who are currently on Patreon, as you will all be getting a shout out as an appreciation for your ongoing support via Patreon in the upcoming book All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth. So a massive shout out first and foremost to Pablo de la Cruz, who joined specifically for that purpose today after me putting a call to action out in regards to that facility that's been added to my Patreon. So if indeed you wanted to have your name mentioned in the acknowledgement section of All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth, simply click on the link below this video, join as a member at the I Want to Be Mentioned in the Book Patreon membership level, and you can have your name mentioned in the book. If you are a former member of Patreon and your Patreon membership has lapsed, you can rejoin at whatever membership level you were previously at, and you can then have your name mentioned also in the upcoming book. So a massive shout out of appreciation, as I say, to Pablo, who joined today specifically for that purpose, so thank you very much for joining me on Patreon. Also Smith Tools and Purchase, A Level Playing Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, Survive the Spin, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMels 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. All of you, as I say, will get a mention in the upcoming book. But with that, I'm going to hand across to whoever's in Discord and G+, which is Neil, Click OK, One Deck, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So, welcome one and all.
How are you?
I'm really delighted. As soon as I put that video out, Pablo joined. I'm like, woohoo! That was definitely worth it then.
I got a question about that.
Go ahead.
Now, does that mention mean the cover of the book as like co-author? Or just the name in the back?
It'll be in an acknowledgement section. Obviously, you won't get named as a co-author, as it's my book, Neil. But no, you just get a little acknowledgement with your name.
Is there a price for that? That's what I'm fishing for.
What are you fishing for?
Is there a price? Like, can somebody buy their way in to be an author?
Yes, I've just said it.
20 on the cover?
Not to be an author, to be mentioned, it's 25 quid. And I think that's a reasonable amount to ask. I mean, the main thing I want is the ongoing patronage, which is to say that it gives me an income source that's continual. So I said this in the video that I put out. It's like, if I just said, okay, 100 quid, and then someone just handed me 100 quid and I put their name in the book, that's kind of meaningless. Even if it was 1,000, it's like, well, what does it mean? It doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, thank you very much for the £100, but it's just a one-off donation. Whereas the first people that should be getting acknowledged, realistically speaking, are the people that have kept the lights on all this time. And those are my Patreons. Now, obviously, there's memberships and people join that so that they can get the uncut and after show. There are certain benefits to being a member, like the badges as your name goes by and getting the early release videos and shorts and things, right? Patreon is just there to keep the lights on. So all of the tiers are like, you buy me a beer, you get nothing. You buy me a burger, you essentially get 0. Those are the sorts of tiers that I've put together, right? Now, this is the first time I've been able to put a tier together that I say, here's something you can actually have from me from Patreon. So, but the people who've given me that money have just literally given it because they want to keep the lights on. They want to keep the show going. So it's like, well, they're the first people that should actually get acknowledged, right? If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, right? I certainly wouldn't be running the kids around to art lessons and things like that, right? My wife pays for all the food and for all the lessons. I pay for the mortgage and the electricity and keep the lights on and the roof over our heads. Well, that is directly paid for by people on Patreon. Now, the ad revenue obviously helps, but it's nowhere near enough to keep the lights on. It's just, it's a pittance by comparison to what is required to keep a mortgage paid. So, I'm so grateful to all of the people on Patreon. And as regulars know, I've been shouting it out recently, going, I want to increase my patronage, and leaning into Eric DeBay shouting out his Patreon and just asking people to join because he's poor. I thought, well, I'll do the same. Well, it didn't generate anybody. Nobody joined as a result of me occasionally mentioning that it'd be great if I had a few more Patreons. But me saying you can have your name mentioned in the book, instantly Pablo joined. I'm like, wicked. It wasn't just words when half a dozen people said, I'd like to have my name in the book. How much would it cost me to achieve that? I'm like, I don't know. Ask me when it's closer to the book being complete. Well, now we are. Like, we've got one chapter left to do, which we will do today, or at least start on. You go, well, I should really be thinking about those things. And I'm coincidentally asking people to join me on Patreon. Oh, what a happy coincidence. Let's kill 2 birds with one stone and ask people for the funds via that particular means. And then it keeps me, ticking in the money. So with Pablo, thank you very much indeed. He just paid up front for a year, which means that money trickles into me each month and, keeps the lights on. So I'm delighted that it's instantly bred a little bit of success because people like to hear that. Everyone loves a good news story. So there we go. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pablo. I really appreciate it. If you're out there listening, which I'm sure you will.
You got 19 days before Easter, but today's St. Paddy's Day. Do you guys celebrate that in England, or is that just an American thing?
Oh, what? Sorry.
St. Paddy's Day.
There's been
No, we don't have that.
Yeah, there's been celebrations in. There were celebrations in Manchester over the weekend because I went into Manchester and they had parades on. The roads were shut. It took me bloody ages to get to where I wanted to go, and I thought it was St. Paddy's Day over the weekend, but it's actually today, I think.
Yeah, today's St. Patrick's Day in America, and I was just wondering if it's something in Ireland or is that just an American thing? Because he was Italian, really.
It's the patron saint of Ireland.
Listen, Neil. And it doesn't matter. Any excuse for a pint of Guinness, mate.
It's very much an Irish thing. Yeah.
But it didn't just originate from America. It's in Ireland, too.
It is specifically the patron saint of Ireland.
Yeah, that don't mean anything. The Irish could ignore that. What do you think? That matters?
Well, they don't.
So it originated in Ireland and it branched out to America when they came over.
It's like anything that's been Americanized, right? If you're Irish, and I'm not Irish, but I can definitely speak for Irish people. I've known enough Irish people to speak on their behalf in this regard. If you're Irish, right, and it's St. Patrick's Day, number one, you're probably drunk anyway, so that's not going to change, right? But number two, you might wear a bit of green or a green scarf if it's cold, right? Because it's Paddy's Day. But you won't do anything elaborate. You won't dye your frickin' river green, you know what I mean? But the Yanks, they go absolutely overboard for it. But,
yeah.
The Irish definitely celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and they might have an extra Guinness, but like I say, they're generally drinkers anyway.
My wife makes green chocolate chip cookies, and she's Guyanese.
There's an Irish guy who's very popular that covers food, and he put it well. He went, we might put on a green T-shirt. That's how he put it.
I I know going to school, going to Catholic school, we had to wear something green on St. Patrick's Day. Whether you put on a green tie or a green shirt or a green scarf, whatever, but you had to wear something green. And if you didn't, you wound up in the principal's office.
I mean, the dweebs we encounter do all right when they just wear the regular T-shirt, they wipe their noses on.
It's green enough.
Hey Nathan, you might have heard it, but just going back to what you were saying, and this is what I wrote down. You've probably heard it, but I wrote it down, and it fits in with what's happening at the moment. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Earth's measured flat. You're not going to change that, but you might have some difficulty in your mind once you come to that point. And I wrote this down the other day, and I thought I'm going to write a poem on this, but I've not wrote the poem. But it was, you can't change an elevation angle to suit your belief in order to reduce your psychological relief. You know, something along them lines I wrote down. But that fits in, doesn't it, quite well with what's going on at the moment. They try and change the meaning. We've seen it for a while now. They try and change the definitions of horizontal level, elevation angle. You can't do that. It is what it is. That's how Earth's measured. But they try and change these things to fit in with this globe belief and to reduce their psychological relief.
Yeah, it's a square circle.
Yeah. It's not, again, you're mixing these terms now. I hate to jump on you. Yes, one deck. But we're in the pre-show, we're talking about, there's potentially a term for this. Arc was the closest we could come to, right? If you've got a hemispherical protractor with 90, 0, 180, right? And all the way through the arc of the protractor, you've got the numbers that you can, that's a potential future tense, measure through on that arc. When you take a measurement, so if we take the 90 degrees as the measurement through the protractor, you've got the arc being misrepresented as the measurement. The measurement is the two straight lines meeting at a vertex, in this instance, that's got a little box with the label 90. At the box, it doesn't have to be labelled at that point or that point, but the totality of potential measurements on that protractor has an arc to that potential measurement. But the tool that you can measure with and the arc that the tool has isn't the two straight lines of the angle measurement when using the protractor. So what our globe proponents in potential or claim to be opposition do is claim that the arc of the protractor is the arc of the world you are stood on. That's how the magic trick of turning elevation angle measurements into a curved surface works. It's a conversion from degrees from the equatorial plane to degrees through a sphere. Thank you, whoever ruined that point.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathan. I just wanted to say you've got a really good point, because I've just had a look at it, and it's actually that outer point of the protractor is called a curved edge. So it's referenced as curved, and that's what they're referring to when they talk about we can measure curve. And that's what it's called, the outer edge of the protractor. Sorry to have interrupted you.
That's all right. It's the curved edge of the protractor isn't the measurement. It's the curved edge of the tool with all of the different numbers that you could potentially measure with the tool. But the measurement is, when describing an angle specifically, the two straight lines that meet at a vertex. That's what an angle is. And if you are measuring an angle, that's what the angle measurement is. There is no curve involved in the measurement, only in the tool. But we have the assertion that you can measure the curve with the angle measuring tool. You're like, well, no, you can derive curves, you can calculate whatever you like, might be sphericity, but the measurement is two straight lines meeting at a vertex. That's what an angle is. And when it comes to measuring Earth's surface with elevation angles, elevation forms the baseline. And the angle is complete with a vertex when you draw an imaginary line up to a star or the sun. That's what an elevation angle measurement is. But this is the measurement. That is not the measurement. Not the curve of the protractor, but the two straight lines that meet at a vertex.
Yes, well said.
Right, there's a point of business. So while I don't go out of my way to offend my own audience, right, there is a certain level of detachment that I am seeking from a conspiratorial faction of my audience that I am not sad to see go. But there is another corner of the audience that's just realistic, regardless of their unified path to this subject from conspiracy, which I'm included in. And one particular individual commented under yesterday's live show. I can't remember his name or her name to give them credit, but they'll know who I am. They know who they are, sorry, when I talk about what they said. And that's that I'm putting out a bit of a mixed message. When I say it's no big deal, we don't have any influence over it, you'll still have to pay your mortgage, those sorts of sentiments are me suggesting that the notion of Earth being flat is a shrug of your shoulder worthy endeavour, that it's not that big a deal, you still have to pay your mortgage, echoing the sentiments, first and foremost, of our opponents when they ask us the same question 10 years ago. Well, what difference does it make if it's flat or a globe? I still have to pay my mortgage tomorrow. While that sentiment can be echoed and mirrored back from our own perspective, to say that contradicts the fact this commenter was putting down, which is that fundamentally, just clear my throat. Fundamentally, there's a paradigm shift if the world recognises that it's not spherical and in fact, as measured, flat. That cannot be denied. That is a literal change in paradigm. And when that paradigm's described in the context of the subject matter, it's a world change. So you have a world-changing paradigm if people accept that Earth is measured flat. But in paradoxical contrast, I'm saying it's no big deal. That's a very mixed and convoluted message to put across. So how can I achieve this other than taking you to one side and going, look, I understand that you are correct in your assertion that if everybody universally understood that Earth is measured flat, which it is anyway, regardless of us having this conversation, appreciating it or not, then the whole world would change from one worldview to another worldview. So you are correct. There is a fundamental paradigm shift potentially on the horizon. But...
Wow. Sorry, but I've been saying this for the longest time. Now it's a thing.
I haven't finished. But, by contrast, at the same time, you've got the fact that you recognising Earth being flat, as I just said 2 minutes ago, doesn't change how it's ultimately measured anyway. Therefore, to get acceptance from a woman, that's not being prejudiced, it's just stating facts. Women would rather have something that is easier to comprehend and less intense and combative than men who will happily fight and argue about things. But if you can take the reality and the actual circumstances, which is that it is just measured flat anyway, that is factual information, then it can be met potentially with a shrug of the shoulders, as in, I already knew that. What, like with sea level? Yeah, I already knew we had sea level. Therefore, it can be dealt with in a nonchalant way. Now, the fact that if everybody had that nonchalant attitude to the reality of how flat Earth is measured, then as a whole, societally, there would, ipso facto, be a fundamental world-changing paradigm shift. Those two things are both paradoxical and mutually inclusive. And in order for one to manifest the other, the first has to not interfere with the second. The first being that we must recognise that nothing much changes, that elevation angles were already being used anyway, that horizontal linear distances were always the order of the day and will and can never change, that you always can only have flight level parallel with surface level, that perpendicularity is how measured height and altitude is applied to sea level for an overall Earth-based altitude. That is factual information that's inconsequential to your understanding of it, my understanding of it. It's only useful in practical application. And practical application is what all of those flat earth facts already are being utilized with. So you can put this to next man in a shrug your shoulders nonchalant way and understand simultaneously that if this person accepts it as having always been the case, because it is and was always the case anyway, then that could lead to the fundamental paradigm shift that I'm trying to suppress by saying, if you make a big deal of this and go, oh my God, the whole world's changed, then someone will go, oh shit, I don't know. No, that might cost the jobs that I'm fear-bombed with when they tell me that if I recognise this flat earth worldview change, then the world stops turning, everyone flies off it, people die and jobs are lost. And suddenly it all seems like there's a gravity to it that's monumental, that stops people, I use the example of women, who want to make their nests comfortable and raise kids in it, as opposed to fight about a worldview that's going to cost lives and jobs, which is what putting it into the second category of, oh my God, there's a huge worldview change, will do. So in spite of them being seemingly incompatible, I'm trying to square that circle and go, the only way I can see a manifestation of the paradigm change is by getting people to recognise how it was always measured flat anyway, and you can legitimately shrug your shoulders, acknowledge that you knew there was a sea level, and point out the fact you've still got to pay your mortgage. Therefore go, oh, it doesn't matter, it's not like my world's going to stop. I've still got to pay my mortgage, and I knew there was sea level anyway, so I mean, what difference does it really make? Well, none, so let's get on with my day. Now, everybody doing that all at once, then ipso facto, you've had that paradigm change. So it's a bit like when, with my eldest daughter, she recognises that Santa's not real. That's the reality of the situation. But she also simultaneously recognises that my youngest daughter is building her imagination, building up that part of her brain currently at that particular young fledgling age. So she has to maintain that illusion of Santa Claus, whilst simultaneously recognising a reality where Santa Claus isn't real. So for you, it's like me tapping you on the shoulder and going, look, you're right. I don't want to demean you when you say, how can you say there won't be a paradigm change when that is fundamentally the case if everyone recognises that the Earth is obviously observably measured flat, because it is. Then their paradigm changes, their worldview changes. That can't be denied. I'm like, yes, but if you say that with too high an upward inflection, you'll scare next man. So just recognise the reality that it's always flat and offer it to somebody in a palatable way where they can say, yeah, I always knew that was the case. It's not like sea level's been hidden from us. So hopefully that sort of dulls the blow of me saying, we're no big deal, it doesn't make any difference, stop sniffing your own farts and thinking that you're Mr. Special because you're telling people something that's going to change their worldview. They'll still have to pay the mortgage tomorrow. I'm going to try and detach them into those two separate categories. Yes, there's a reality that will fundamentally change if everyone appreciates it flat, but simultaneously, you must recognise that that was always the case legitimately, and people will still have to pay their mortgages, and they don't necessarily have any bearing upon it unless once that worldview takes hold, because everyone shrugged their shoulders and when I knew that was the case anyway, people start going, well, maybe I can improve on the calendar, improve on the time structure, improve on epicycles and retrograde motion, and make the observations work in a mathematical way that will somehow benefit us. Maybe people will go to those endeavours that don't require the out-of-the-box thinking from 500 years ago that put us on a spinning ball flying through a sky vacuum. Now, long ago, 6 months, we were trying to tell people they weren't on that spinning ball. But that spinning ball comes from the same flat Earth measurements that were being used anyway. All roads lead to a flat Earth. Another reason to shrug your shoulders. If someone says, well, it's got to be a ball because retrograde motion, orbital motion. You're like, yeah, I mean, those flat Earth derivations of elevation angle measurements to the lights in the sky off a flat Earth do create this paradigm that you can believe in. I'm not saying you can't. That's a lot more of a softened blow. And for me, a kind of, I don't care if you want to be on your ball, in the way I phrase it, attitude that can usher in that world change, that paradigm shift, that fundamental alteration in the very world that you thought you lived on. Now I'm done, Neil.
No, I was just saying, and now it's all of a sudden it's a thing because somebody else said it. I've been saying it's a paradigm shift for the longest time. No, it's not. Now it is. Okay, it is. Doesn't matter. When you come to the acknowledgement and you accept it for what it is a paradigm shift in your life.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you could, if you could sit someone down and say, I'm going to tell you something now, and it might be a big deal for you. You might not be able to handle it, right? The Earth's measured flat. This is the evidence I can show you. That's the way it's always been. It's down to that person and how they're going to deal with that, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's part of heliocentrism that it's been measured flat.
Say that again, John.
It is part of heliocentrism that it is measured flat.
That's correct.
Yeah, you can't deny these premises, otherwise you're between the rock and a hard place. But for us, it's kind of an ignorance of the people that put themselves there. It's like, you feel free to exercise your cognitive dissonance pain elsewhere, because I don't really want to engage in that anymore. Like, I understand fundamentally that you require flat Earth measurements for your heliocentric belief. You don't have to like it. And if you don't like it, get lost. Don't turn around and report me to the police or try and have my kids taken off me because you don't like how flat Earth must be measured for your belief.
But like we've said it before, I've said it a few times on this. When we, like John's just said there, we know that. Now we can easily say, well, for your globe, you need a flat Earth elevation angle measurement, right? But when we've been through these, and Nathan's give the spiel, pardon me saying that, Nathan, when you go through it about the surface level, eye level, depression angles, and that is how you get that. If you've never heard that before, that's like, what the hell are these guys talking about? It sounds ridiculous. You know what I mean? To a newbie sort of person or somebody just getting into it, that sounds absolutely absurd.
I mean, maybe, but if you contrast that with something that we actually get in the subject matter, like there was giant trees made of silicon, or that there's a Mandela effect that's altered a fundamental made-up timeline in a fourth dimension, you're like, does this seem like a stretch? We got measurements of a flat plane and then converted them by way of calculations into sphericity. That doesn't seem like that big a stretch compared to the timeline of the Berenstein Bears has changed. You're like, what? He always had a silver leg.
Well, you're right there, Nick. You got a really good point, and we've spoken about this before. Yeah, it's it's so difficult to understand an elevation angle from sea level, measuring latitude, but they haven't got a problem with the bending of space time in a fourth dimension. That's just, what's the problem with that? I think is what you're saying.
Exactly. You've incorporated a globe extension of what I was doing. I was actually taking the conspiratard flat earther approach to it with the silicon trees and the Mandela effect. But, whatever crazy conspiracy a flat earth is going to offer you, it's going to be tame when you try and explain to them that, no, the derivation of flat earth measurements is what produced the globe. That seems tame by comparison. Same goes for a contrasting fourth dimensional pseudo-Riemannian space-time geometry. You're like, you believe what? Oh, no, you didn't know that you believed that. Most of the people who are watching this and on the ball side won't know that they believe that. They are a vague acceptance of Einstein that they probably are reasonably familiar with. But when you say gravity to them, they don't think of the bending and warping of a fourth dimensional space-time dimension that's been extrapolated out into string theory. They think of downward vectors with respect to a plane of reference they don't know they're using. Equally as absurd. Much more accepted.
I still think it's a major paradigm shift, and it's going to cause problems. No matter how gently you want to make this landing, you want to put it on pillows, you want to put it on feathers, doesn't matter. It's a shift in the paradigm that we're in now. Things will happen. People will lose jobs. People will demand from the schools why their children are being taught a certain way. It's not like they're being taught. They're being taught that they live on a globe and it's flat. That's
Cats
a big
and dogs
freaking thing.
living together. Total chaos.
Not total chaos. a total demand of why this has been going on for how many years it's been going on.
They're taught it's flat,
Well,
too.
That was down to the Anunnaki keeping the human people prisoners in the middle pond, and telling them that they had to tell all the people that they lived on a globe.
No.
Otherwise, they would destroy
The
all
government
humanity.
bodies have
I mean,
a way of...
And then when Christendom gets a hold of it, forget about it. They're going to want freaking answers.
Well, the answers that they get
demanding answers.
will take the same format. I can't remember which movie I got this from, but there was an explanation for this for a transitioning head of a company, right? And he takes the board of directorship or the MD role, whatever it is, right? And he arrives in his desk, and there's 2 letters from the old boss on the desk. And it's explained to him that the first sign of trouble, open the first letter. And when there's more trouble, open the second letter. So it doesn't take long, 3 months into the job, major problem hits. And he's like, he has nowhere to turn, he doesn't know what to do, and he gets 2 letters. So he finds letter 1, opens it, and inside the letter it says, blame everything on me. And he goes, hey! Chucks it in the bin, goes on the news, blames everything on the old boss. Works like a charm, right? Everything goes on as normal. Everyone blames the old boss. Perfect. Moves forward another 6 months. Another catastrophe hits. He goes, oh, what am I going to do? I've got run out of options. Second letter. So it goes into the drawer. Opens the second letter. It says, you need to sit down and write 2 letters.
So that's the answer. They're going to blame it on the people before them.
Yep.
Okay. So now they're going to want change. What's the first thing that they're going to put together? They're going to put together that, hold on a second, so everything is not charted then. Because this globe no longer exists. What are you hiding from us? Land, maybe?
Oh no, what am I going to do? I speak to you, the people, when I say, I've got this questions. I've got 2. I've got those questions. Is there more land? Well, I don't know. The guy before me, he probably knew. Bastard.
Okay, I'm going to read something from the chat because this measured chunk guy is at it again. You perfectly know Nathan just plugs ears and ignores issues. He can't address it, or he would have without reciting measured flat. So what do you want us to address? See, the puppies can't see. So he's just insulting us. So what do you want us to address? And I got a better idea for you.
Whoa. Why did he insult us?
Hold
on. What did he do to insult us?
He said, see, the puppies can't see how an error in their claim is
Okay, so he's calling us puppies.
Their claims are wrong.
Ban him immediately, right? I've said this on previous shows, right? I even put out a shorts video about this, which is say, oh, you're a pleasant person that I'd enjoy spending time with. Oh, of course I'll discuss Flat Earth with you. It'd be a pleasure. I love talking about this subject. It's a fantastic subject. I love it. What's that? You want to tell me that I'm wrong and I owe you answers and you're running away from me, you little puppy? Go away, you're an unpleasant person. No, I will make a new account and you will submit to my questions. No, you're a deeply unpleasant person. I wouldn't want to spend any time in your company. You're unpleasant. Go away. No, I can create accounts or piss off. You, in reality, would have your teeth knocked out, wouldn't you? That's why you're here. We've told you, get lost. Now, you feel that we owe you answers. No. Go away. You are a deeply unpleasant, bull-believing clown, and we wouldn't want to spend any time in your company. Now, if you want to pleasantly discuss the Flat Earth prerequisites you are entitled to retain for your ball, no longer will I say don't use our stuff when you use Flat Earth elevation angles, surface level, horizontal linear distance measurements, directionality. I won't tell you not to use those. You are welcome to use the Flat Earth measurements to believe you are on a ball. So long as you're pleasant to be around. Otherwise, go away. Now, if you persist, it becomes harassment. Just criminal endeavours by scummy dweebs. You must answer me because I'm in pain and I think I'm on a ball. You're allowed to believe you're on a ball. Nobody's stopping you. But that's not good enough. I don't care what's good enough. We don't owe you any answers. Now, if you're polite and pleasant, you can discuss these things with us in a polite and pleasant manner. But when you start yelling at us that we must answer you and insisting by repeatedly harassing us, hanging around, you're just like the ex-wife who parks a car at the end of the drive and won't go away. Eventually, she will, if she doesn't comport to what the policeman tells her, get dragged out of that window after he smashes it with his baton. Right? That's you. Now, if you want to be that bitch, then fine. Eventually, it will result badly for you. Now, me, it's not unreasonable, and for Neil, and anybody else in this arena for that matter, it's not unfair to want a reasonable life where you're not subject to adenoidal, moany little twats making demands. That's you right now, sir. Now, underneath the surface of a pleasant demeanour, like the guy who came on the show after taking a brave pills after about half an hour of silence, he wanted to call me and Neil closet homosexuals. Yeah? Said that we were jerking each other off in the half an hour of silence while I was testing my graphics card. That's because right under the surface, he hates us. And so does this guy. He despises us. The feeling's mutual. I hate you. And why would I spend any time answering the questions of a man I hate? Why do I hate you? Because you're deeply unpleasant and easily hateable. So get lost.
This is going to make you even more mad. He has issues not with us. He has issues with Jay Tolan. How badly seems we need to first out them on a globe so they actually match what you see. We have nothing to do with Jay Tolan, and we don't debunk a globe, right? We're contrary to that.
Let's just reiterate the point, Neil. No. When you say, no, we hate you. You, in person, would be told politely with a smile, can you go away now? You've become unpleasant and nobody wants to be around an unpleasant person. Are you still here? No, go away. Oh, you've come back with a beard and a hat. Okay, well, I'll say it politely for a third time. Go away. You're unpleasant. Nobody likes being around you. Now you won't get away. Well, that's threatening. Now I feel justified in beating the living piss out of you in person. Why? Because you feel that it's necessary to be intimidating, threatening, menacing, not going away when you've been asked politely repeatedly. Now, people who are pleasant, they get other people's time. They get answers when they ask questions. They get to discuss topics. You represent 10 years or 12 years or however long I've been doing this of people telling me I should jump off buildings, be arrested by the police. Got Mr. Sensible, he's got videos, go and check, where he reports me to the police. You think I want to engage with him? You are like Mr. Sensible, someone who under the surface wants to call me a homosexual and say I'm stroking Neil's cock. Yeah? Right under the surface of being polite for somebody who came on the show and verbally wanted to discuss how south isn't horizontal because you're delusional. No, you're deeply unpleasant people who we wouldn't want to be around. Why would we? So we tell you, get lost, and you go, no, I can make more accounts and harass you indefinitely. Like, really? Haven't you got any friends? People that like being around you? And the answer to that question is no. Most people, probably including your own family, don't like being around you. That's why you found your way here, so you can express that unpleasant persona to us. Like you're justified. Like societally it's okay to demand something of a YouTuber who talks about how Earth gets measured and being reasonable in the way you demand it. No. Now I'm done being polite. Get lost. Now, if you can't get lost, we'll start insisting on getting names and addresses from you. Yeah? When people say, oh, you're doxing them. No, I want to report these people to the police. That's what I want to do. It's happened to me. It's documented like it's a badge of honour to report a fellow YouTuber to the police. Okay. If that's how you feel justified because you believe you're on a bleeding ball that's using flat earth measurements, then that's fine for you. Me, I'm being told that we should fear you. Oh, you're scared. Okay. Yeah, in society, when people are scared of you, I'll add the third, you either fight, flight, or freeze. Well, I'm not for one for freezing, and I've told you to go away. I'm retreating from you and asking you politely to disembark your endeavours, and you won't. Yeah, societally, that's where if you were in person with somebody, when they feel threatened, that's when you've cornered the dog and it bites you. You don't seem to be getting the metaphor. Because you're here online where you must be to live out this persona, to live out this horrible person that isn't liked in the real world. No. I'm not for tolerating this anymore. And in the country I am in the UK, there are internet laws to stop people just like you for this sort of harassment online. Yeah, it's not tolerated in the UK anymore. In other countries it is. We're a lot more strict here. The police literally will beat your door down and drag you out. Metaphorically speaking. They'll knock politely and then take you to a cell and question about your internet activities, harassing others. Now I'm saying, metaphorically, you get a smack in the mouth. Literally, I'm just going to ask for your address. That's what I'll do. Yeah? If you don't stop harassing us. Now, when you call us puppies, claim we're homosexuals, suggest we should have our kids taken off us, call the police on us, for what? For what? Talking about how flat Earth is measured, how we should be going out and getting J-toll and median measurements to match with what you suggest. No, those days are over. Not only are they over, I'm doing it in a white flag held high way. Have your ball. I'm not going back on it like Jaron. I'm saying you, with your ball based on your requirement for flat Earth measurements, will be tolerated by me. Everyone's entitled to their belief. You want to believe you're on a ball? Be my guest. You can even use my flat Earth measurements to get you there. You're welcome.
Well said, Nathan. And I can't remember the last time I've spoke to anybody and, talking about the geography and the geometry of Earth who you can have a decent conversation with, talk about elevation angles, sea level, straight and level flight, mapping elevation profiles from sea level, and just discuss this and point and show these people how it's actually done without getting into a feud or, ad hominem attacks and argumentative states. But like you say, you're right, Nathan. If he wants to live on the ball, and that's fine. Just keep your ball. Go and do something else. You don't have to be on here. Just keep your ball and get on with your life. See you later.
I feel like you're letting them use your lawnmower to mow their yard, just as long as they put it back in your garage.
Yeah, the metaphorical.
But you will change the world. You will ruin everything what is good now.
Say again.
It is easy to say, Divergent, go somewhere else, but he wants to protect, because flat earthers, what will happen if flat earthers take the power? Man, everything will change. Everything will ruin. You will have wars. You will have corruption.
I see what you mean. What Sasha's saying is, this person in their belief has the mindset that if we change the paradigm of the people that we are explaining that Earth was measured flat anyway, even for you to believe in your ball, this troll believes in, then that will cost people jobs. The world will stop. Devastation will follow. And therefore, this man is the one secret king out there to stop it all, fighting for justice, fighting for the American way. This man is Batman. Yeah?
Yeah, because another way, you have so many other topics. Let's say demons, witches, ghosts, full of internet, full of that. Nobody is going there and protecting the earth from people who are posting things about demons, because nobody's going there and saying, listen, this, you will destroy. What are you talking about? Let's censor these things or everything what's happened with the flat earth. He doesn't need to. If he needs to protect the earth, he needs to go somewhere. For example, Russia-Ukraine debate, and to find out how to find the peace. That could be a good fight, for example. But here there is no danger. But I think that he feels some kind of danger. I don't know. And he's here to protect.
For a dweeb to feel like Batman, they need the righteous endeavour of fighting for the right to declare an elevation angle as curving. What a wonderful endeavour, Batman. I mean, what a noble cause. I mean, these people are dweebs. So they think they're fighting for a world that needs them to defend their adenoidal right to describe orbital motion. You're a boring little twat. Deeply unpleasant and boring. That's why we don't want to be around. It's not because you're just unpleasant. It's because you're deeply boring. Yeah, you think you've got to save the world from what elevation angle measurements? They're using them anyway. What are you going to save them from? But this dweeb thinks he thinks he's saving the world. Idiotic.
I like this approach, what you're saying. I don't want to deal with ban him, but it's enough, Nathan. You don't need to listen anymore to this stuff, you know. What you want to hear? You want to hear some newbie who will speak about what? About Coriolis, about atmosphere, about what? What is the argument? Somebody will put it out and say, look, this is something new.
There isn't. But the people who are actually making the measurements, if they're in this arena, their measurements are folly also. Well, they're not actually building anything or developing anything. If they are, they're using horizontal planes of reference, perpendicularity, parallel lines from eye level, surface level, sea level. These things are all axiomatically required when actually doing anything practical with Earth. But none of them are changing. It's not like this dweeb's coming up with some revolutionary system that's going to change the way that the world functions. Far from it. He's only defending against his own fear that he's been propagandized with. Now, I'm not going to pity this person because they're not pleasant. If somebody actually was honest and expressed their fear, well, my concern is that if everyone found out Earth's flat, which gets blamed on me, if you carry on with your lies and deceit, then you put in the danger of the NASA jobs. Whatever bullshit they believe in, that they're potentially defending the world from. It's like, listen, Secret Gamma King, yeah? You're not going to change the world. You're not defending anybody. Nobody needs you to defend this ever so special knowledge that you feel that you've invested in carefully and wisely. Yeah, number one, the knowledge that you've acquired has established things like calendars and time structures. And that's it. It's not been put into any other useful practical application. Heliocentrism, beyond its control aspects, isn't used for anything. You name something that it's used for. It's not. There's an illusion that it's being used to travel out into a second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum at 10 to the 17 torr, 10 to the minus 17 torr. But it isn't. That's a violation of a law of nature. So there's nothing to defend. You're not Batman. That Batman reference is a direct reference to Craig from Fight the Flat Earth channel, FTFE, Craig McNeil, who literally called himself Batman in one of his screen names. So in his mind, and these people all wear Batman logos and Superman logos, they think they're freaking superheroes. By what? Reporting a flat earther on YouTube to the police, calling up social services and telling them I beat my kids. You think you're a hero? Oh my God.
Yeah, he was just in here. I just timed him out. It seems like he's very freaking persistent, this Rob Noxious. He won't go away. You got to hear the things he's saying in chat about you. I came a little late. I just timed them all out. But this is threatening, and I need to know his name so I can report him to the police.
Exactly. These people are behaving in an antisocial way. In the UK, they are called antisocial behaviour laws. And you can have what is called an antisocial behavioural order, or ASBO, put upon you for behaving in this way online. Yeah? You go and look at the stats for people who have been criminally prosecuted in this country for behaving that way. And if you're like, not in my country, not at the moment. Where do you think all your laws are derived from? Where do you think they come from? If there's a pipeline for them to come down, it's from here. So I assure you, that is the way of the world in the future, how it's being dealt with here in the UK. Yeah? Antisocial behaviour isn't tolerated, and all you pricks are doing is behaving in an antisocial way because you're challenged about a belief in a sky vacuum and a mathematics that's been given you by the Roman Catholic Church. Do you understand how, when broken down, it sounds utterly pathetic? Not just pathetic, boring. Yeah? So for you to be obnoxious about a boring-ass topic that you're defending because you are in fear is sad. Now, while I can psychoanalyse this, dissect it, and point it out to a live audience, I don't want to be around the people engaged in that level of cognition. You aren't our friends. You hate us, right? Why the hell would we want to be around you, let alone answer any questions, deal with your concerns, explain anything for you? Go away and find like-minded people to be friendly with, people who like you. That's not us. We don't. We'd sooner beat the shit out of you after you've been told multiple times to go away. And justifiably so. Once you put an animal in the corner, they will eventually bite you.
They don't like us, Nathan, because we're the big kids, telling them a little bit too soon that Father Christmas isn't real.
Yeah, get over it. There is no Easter Bunny. These people are just children. That's what they work on. When people fear bomb you, well, what do you think there's stories of Thea smashing into Earth to give us the timeline of an extended heat-based source at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Why do you think they do that? Because it instills fear. Keeps you under control. Fear controls you. So when you think that you've got to defend against something, that means you are scared. Like you've got to take affirmative action to alleviate the concerns, to relieve the danger that you perceive. So when you behave like you're Batman, it's because ultimately that is a direct consequence of fear. Now recognise what's in a lot of biblical and religious texts. The words, fear not. There is nothing to be concerned about. You don't need to express that fear onto a freaking YouTuber. You think that doing anything that has regards to Nathan Oakley or any of the panel here is going to actually alleviate your fear? You think we've put the fear of God into you that you're going to get smashed into by a planet, or that jobs will be lost, or that without your crusade against your own fear, something will be of a consequence to you? You're wrong. You're just living in fear. Get over yourselves. Fear not.
Maybe the more the abusers and callers, the more add-on attacks, it might just, might just curve that baseline of the elevation angle a little bit more for them.
You know how many fear nots are in the Bible?
A lot.
365.
It's one of the most phrased terms in the Bible, like most repeated terms in the Bible. Fear
Well,
not.
you got one for each day of the year.
Yeah, but it's true. Most of what people's lives are consumed with is fear. Now, don't get me wrong. God's given it you for a reason, right? Because if it's not mind that bus, it's what bus? And then you're dead. So fear is critical. You need fear. It keeps you alive. But that primeval part of your brain that's hardwired to go, is that bus going to hit me? Is that a danger? Is that a cat in the woods that's going to bite me? Yeah, that keeps you alive. But it's also manipulatable, easily manipulatable. And that's what's happened. So we fear something and then we react to it. And in this case, we've got people rising up against what they think is a threat. What am I going to do? What do you think I'm going to do to you? Seriously. I mean, I don't get it. Sometimes it's beyond, my comprehension why people fear this. When we go through how an elevation angle works, how surface level's measured, what a mile is, you're like, why are you in fear? Oh, because you've been propagandized. Recognise where the fear comes from. It's not here.
I had one of them say to me once, "All right, well, I'll give you the flat Earth. Just don't take my space away."
Well, geographically, though, they know what we know. They had the same understanding taught to them of what an elevation is, of what sea level is. They know better. It's not our fault.
Shout out to you, Detox Femu, who says they pushed me here. It's not my choice. Oh, fair enough.
But going back to your daughters, Nathan, and the Father Christmas example, and, we're doing a little bit of that anyway. Well, if you want your globe, have it. Like your eldest is doing with the youngster, she's going along with that lie, yeah, because that's what she's doing, and that's what we've probably all been involved with, and that's what you're suggesting we do, and that's what we're sort of that's this turning point now. If you want your globe, have it. Keep it for a bit longer if you want. When you're ready, you'll realise the truth.
Yeah, but that's not enough for them. I've been trying it. It's not enough. They want more. They want you to stop saying it. They don't want it. They don't want Nathan to have a show. This show must stop. There's people that get together and put complaints in and try to get the show taken off YouTube. I mean, it doesn't stop.
Just stop coming to the show. Just go and have a game of golf or something.
No, they don't want that. They don't want this show being heard because they're doing society a favor by getting the retards that think we live on a flat earth off the airwaves. They're superheroes.
So they went ahead and got rid of all those celestial navigation and geodetic surveying channels. They've got to get rid of all them too, huh?
Those channels don't say that Earth is flat.
They fundamentally bend the compass, yes.
Yeah, but they don't say it. They imply it. They demonstrate it, but they never say it.
Right, rather than trying to do it, because I ballsed up the introduction 3 times today to my Uncut and After show, because I was trying to shout out a new Patreon, Pablo de la Cruz, who I can say without thinking about it, but I was reading it off. It was even more difficult than ever. I've never done 3 takes in the entire 2,500 shows, but today I did, because I was trying to promote the fact that you can have your name mentioned in an acknowledgement section of the upcoming book if you join at that tier level, which is Be in the Book tier level on my Patreon, which is linked below this video. But I have actually made a pre-prepared video, which has gone out in a long form format. Let's say it was 8.5 minutes long, but I've also made a short form format video, which took a lot more editing, to be perfectly honest. Took a lot longer to actually produce in spite of being the much shorter video. But rather than trying to do that call to action now, this short 3-minute shorts video, which is currently members only, does actually explain it. There is a link to my Patreon below this video, and if you did want your name to be acknowledged in the upcoming All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth book, then simply join at the £25 level on Patreon. So that link is below this live stream as we speak, so you can join. And as Pablo de la Cruz has already done so, I'm starting off this promotion in regards to acquiring a few more Patreons on a very high and positive note, given that Pablo's joined for an entire year, so that he specifically can have his name mentioned in All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth. So as we round out this live show, I'm going to play that particular clip, and then I'll round out and thank the panel and Discord once more. Want to be named in the book? Just join on Patreon at that tier or above. Inside, not on. All roads lead to a flat earth. Simply join at the link below on Patreon at that tier membership level, which is called Be in the Book. So I'm very grateful to all of you who do support me on Patreon. That's when people were asking me, can I have my name in the book? It's like, well, if you just gave me $100 and I stuck your name in the book, that's kind of just giving me $100, and obviously $100 is great, but it doesn't necessarily represent any ongoing support. Started?
Yes.
Good news! If you are one of the people who has asked me if you can have your name in the book All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth, then you're in luck. You must join before Easter. The caveats are also on Patreon, so if for the sake of argument you use an indecent name, obviously you won't be at £50 and £100, and I've had an extra tier at £25 basically, which is called Be in the Book. So once again, if you did want to be named in the book, just join on Patreon at that tier or above. If you did want to be extra generous, you can join at a higher tier, and obviously your name will be added. And just don't have a dirty name or an indecent name that wouldn't be appropriate. Currently taking Eleanor to her art class. Say thank you, Eleanor.
Thank you.
It's because of all the wonderful support I receive from all the people on Patreon. I am very, very grateful to all the people who have supported me over the years on Patreon. It has been invaluable. It's so important to me to have that financial support via that particular means. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. I get to increase my patronage, and it's the ongoing support that keeps me going, another source of revenue to keep the lights on. I'd say all of that again, just in case the first 3 times I said it weren't clear enough. If you want to be a named participant in the book, All Roads Lead to a Flat Earth, then simply join at the link below on Patreon at the Be in the Book tier level or above. And if you are an existing member of Patreon, you will already be named. So you just join for a nefarious intent, then I reserve the right to not have your name put in the book. Unlikely though it is that I will exercise that right. Anybody who joins at either the Be in the Book or above tier will automatically go into the book. And if you are currently an existing patron at any tier level, your name will automatically be entered into the book. And if you are one of those people who are already a Patreon member at any tier level, make sure that you are happy with the name that appears currently on Patreon. Good news! Right, that's pretty much that. So with that, I will say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, smashed the super chat, joined as a Patreon, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.